Hi, today is March the 4th, and today I'm not going to do an update. I'm going to talk about the 10 things you don't know about me. But a side note, I hit my goal. As of today, I lost 14.8 pounds, which is close to my 15-pound goal, but I am so excited. Well, let's talk about 10 things you don't know about me. But I got to tell you, I've been around for 6 decades and I've seen quite a lot of stuff. Whenever my coworkers would talk about things in history, and I'll go, I've been there, and I'll tell them a story about whatever piece of history they were talking about. I don't know, maybe sometimes probably got a little annoying, but I've been there. Also, another little side note is I have a really great friend, and she's in her 40s. She's a lot younger than me, but I don't know why it took so long for me to meet this friend. Maybe I had to move to Delaware. Well, anyway, but she had a birthday party, for her 34th birthday party, and she told everybody, all the ladies, it was a ladies' party, all to come as their 14-year-old self. Well, they came as Janet Jackson and Blondie, and they had big hair and slouch socks, and I came in bell bottoms and a underwear afro. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't cute. But that's how it is. That is me. Well, let's get to the questions. The first question, number 1. I've been with my college sweetheart for 45 years and married for 39 years in July. Long time. A lot of work, but that's what marriage is, and it's been well worth it. We have 2 daughters, one 36 and one 33. Yeah, girls, I called you out. I have no grandchildren. No pressure. But all the cool moms have grandchildren. No pressure. Another side note is me and my younger daughter have the same birthday. Now that sounds really great and really romantic. Hahowever, when she hit about 6 or 7, I figured out that my birthday wasn't much fun. And I couldn't figure out why I wasn't happy with my birthday. But my mother-in-law one year said, come go with me, I'm going to take you out for your birthday. And she took me to this dinner play, play where they have dinner. And I had a great time. And it was my best birthday like in years. And then I realized I didn't have a special day. I was making brownies and I was getting her day together. So from then on, I decided my birthday would be in the weekend and her birthday would be on the 4th. And it worked out fine and everybody was happy. I was happy. She was happy. Okay. Number 2. As you can see from my accent, I'm a New Yorker, even though I'm in Delaware. I can't get rid of this accent. But I didn't always live in New York. In I think 1967, my mother and father, who was born in St. Thomas, met in New York, decided to go back to St. Thomas. Virgin Islands, by the way. And it's like they dropped me in a whole new world. Everybody, all the young people in high school, because I was in 9th grade, called me the Yankee, and I was kind of a little bit, not ostracized, but different. Nobody wants to be different in high school. So by the time I hit up 11th grade, I had an accent that was so St. Thomian, you couldn't tell that I was from New York. I assimilated. And my mother we would go to school every day. My mother would say, Jackie, talk properly. You're from New York. You don't need to talk like that. And I would talk sing-song because, and it's a thing that I cannot make that accent up. When I'm here, my accent is New York. When I'm there for some length of time without my husband, my accent goes back to the island. It's strange. My brain does not work dual. It has to be one or the other. It was a strange world living in St. Thomas. My great uncle was an ex-governor. I had cousins who ran the police department, cousins who were senators. Everybody was into everything, and it was all political, and it was all small town, and it could have been a mess. But and that's number 2. Number 3. I went to college in New York. When I got in 12th grade, my parents said, you need to leave the island. You can go anywhere in the country, but go to school. If you want to come back, fine, but you need to get a little more knowledge of the outside world. So I went to college in New York because that was my comfort zone. I had family and friends, and I went to school to be a teacher. Now, in those days, this is 1971, and I'm going to be a little political. Women were just coming into their own. What we did was we were encouraged. We didn't have to be, but we were encouraged to be teachers or nurses, and I picked a teacher. Ladies, don't take what you have for granted. This is my political thing. Everybody wants us to go back to the way it was. The way it was not the way you thought it was. It was not pretty. You want to keep going forward, and every year I see us going back to those 60s and 50s. It wasn't pretty. Enough of that. Well, I taught for 6 months. I loved school. I think I was ADD. And they didn't have ADD testing in those days. So as I got older, I got more studious and better. I loved school. I did very well. And I was now a teacher. Taught for 6 months and I hated it. So I decided to go back to business school to see what the business world was like. So that is question number 3. Number 4. Now I'm home. Now I'm in the business world, and I got married, and we decided to have children, and it didn't make sense for me to go back to work. We lived upstate New York, so I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, and I was a stay-at-home mom for about 7 years. I loved it, except for when I met other people. When I met other people, I gotta get my notes. They made you feel, and this is like in the 80s, you feel so less than. We go out and they say, what did you do? Well, I'm a housewife. And then they'll move on to the next woman who was in the business world. So I wanted to be in the business world. What an idiot. Now I had 2 jobs. So I worked hard to get into the business world. So I worked all day, and then I came home and I had to work all night. Being a housewife is hard work. Now being a wife, a woman who worked and take care of children and a house and a husband, that's double hard work. Dumb. Number 5. Let's see, what's on my list? I've owned 7 houses. Because I was a stay-at-home mom, I followed my husband's life as he went up the corporate ladder. So our first house was in upstate New York. We bought a condo when I was pregnant. The second house, we built a house in New York again, upstate New York. We lived only upstate New York. We didn't live in the city. Then we moved to New Jersey when my husband got a promotion. And then he got a promotion to go back to his old office. So we moved back again to upstate New York, but we moved to the same neighborhood where we were before. So we gave the kids continuity. They had the same school system, the same friends, everything was the same. Then we moved, then the kids were grown, and my youngest was in 9th grade, and we moved to California. I didn't like California very much, although the house was awesome. Then we moved to Delaware because that's the closest to New York with relocation package. You can't move without a relocation package. So we moved my husband again, as once again, his job. We moved to Delaware. I happen to like Delaware. Now we knew we were going to retire a little bit younger, and so we bought another house, our retirement house, which had all the bells and whistles that we wanted. A little bit smaller than the other house, and we put as much money down as possible so we can have a really low mortgage so we can retire. That's where we are now. So that's my 7th house. Number 6. You all know that I'm a quilter, but I didn't really start quilting obsessively till I was to year 2000 when my oldest daughter went to college. Before that, I did every craft there was. I scrapbook, I beaded, I used paper. You name the craft, I did it. The only thing I didn't like was crocheting and knitting. My hands were too big for that. But every craft any craft I can do. Now, I have a little known, well, not a little known secret, but a little side note is I make my own Christmas cards every year, a Christmas card newsletter. And now everybody looks forward to it. I've been doing it for about 20 years. I think I'll show you a couple of them. My last one has glass sparkles. We'll never do that again. I usually make them by hand. I first used to make 125. Now I make about 70. It takes about a month. So this is this year's. And let me see if I open it up. And it opens up to little sayings. Okay. And this is another year. It's called a swing card. My daughter's got a big kick out of this one. And let's see, this one, it was 2012 when we renewed our vows. So when you pull it up, it showed the things from our wedding, from when we renewed our vows, and a little saying. It's called a slider card. And once again, I make a ton of them. I do keep them in a scrapbook. I make a lot, but I don't think I'll show you. This is when we lived in California. I used the cactus as a tree. But anyway, that's enough for that. So every year I do cards. And one year I didn't do a card, and I got a call, where are my cards? Where's my newsletter? So now I make sure I do it every year. And I keep my newsletter very, not detailed, one page. Nobody wants to hear about your Aunt Joe going to the store. But everybody seems to love it, so I keep doing it, and I truly enjoy making it. Let's see. Number 7. I have a fear of heights. This was just crazy. We went to California one year with the kids, and we wanted to go up Route 1 to see the cliffs and the heights, and it's beautiful going along the coast there. And every time we get to the edge of the cliff, I would be pulling my family back, driving them totally crazy. Then we went to San Francisco, and they went to the Golden Gate Bridge. And I was on the bottom, and they were on the bridge, and I just waved as they walked up to the bridge, and I thought we all were happy. They were up on the top, and I was on the bottom. And then when we were driving along the redwoods, and my husband decided, without warning me, to drive to the edge to look at the redwoods, I let out such a blood-curdling scream. I'm surprised we didn't get over the edge. But ironically, we went to Jamaica last year, and we went ziplining. And we went up the Tam, and I did well. And then I went a series of 6 zip lines through the forest. I had a good time. I was afraid, but it was on my bucket list, and I was going to determine to do it. The only zip line that drove me crazy was the vertical one, and we went boom. And it only took about 3 seconds for the panic to go away, because that's how long the descent lasted. But I'm still afraid of heights. Number 8. I used to be a line dancer, a soul line dancer. I thought I was going to soul line dance till I was in my grave. It was the only time in my life on the floor where I did not care who looked at me, how they felt. I was in a bubble, in my zone. I felt so fantastic, spinning and turning and cha-chaing and doing the dance. But let me tell you what soul line dancing is. It's not you hear a song. It's me again. Sorry about that. The phone rang. How rude. But anyway, I was talking about soul line dancing. What soul line dancing is, every song there is a dance. So if you're doing a Marvin Gaye song, there's a dance. A Diana Ross song, a dance. If you're doing, like I said, every song. So you had to go to at least 1 class a week, and we used to go to 2, and then you would go to a dance. So in my brain, I had about 200 dances in my mind, 200 routines. So you go to the dance, you hear a song, boom, you line dance. You hear another song, if you knew that's routine for that song, boom, you line dance. So it was truly amazing. And it was like a little baby cult, because you had the same group of people who would do it with the Philly soul line dancers. And they were kind of known for their line dancing, soul line dancing. I mean, Chicago was known for their 2-step and their step dancing, and Houston does it. But we went to Houston, and we went to a class there, and they knew who our teachers were. I mean, Philly is known for their soul line dancing. And I would go to a dance, spend 4 or 5 hours dancing, sweating, having a ball. Could barely walk to the car. Could hardly walk in the house. I was so stiff and sore, but there was a big old smile on my face. Okay, number 9. Every year we go on a family trip. My husband and I bought a timeshare about 11, maybe 12 years ago. And because we knew that there would come a time where our kids would be married and have families and our moms would not be around. So it would be, who would go on the trip would be my husband and I, our two daughters, my mom and my husband's mom. And I'm so glad we did. My husband's mom got Alzheimer's 2 years ago, and she couldn't make that trip. And this year she passed away, so she won't make this trip. A little sad, but I am so glad we have the memories. A little change in plans is now my daughter's partner of 8 years is coming with us. For the first time, somebody else is coming with us. My husband won't be the only man out of 5 women. He'll have another man there. And I hope he won't, my daughter's friends won't get bored. But we are a unit. When it's the 4 of us together, we are a unit. We have the most fun. We razz each other. We tease each other. We have a great time. When there's 3 of us, when one person's missing, we have a good time, but it's not the same. But you put the 4 of us together, and we are a solid team. So we look forward to that every year. We go all around the country. We've been to Phoenix. We've been to Vegas, St. Thomas, Florida a couple of times, California. This year, we're going to Florida. We're not going to Disney, but we're going to Florida. Number 10, and I know you're tired of hearing from me. Let's see, what is number 10? Oh, I love to read. I like to read and I like to listen to books on tape because I sew a lot. So I can listen to books as I'm sewing or driving, but I do love to read also. I love all kinds of books, mostly adventure now. I've changed it through the years. My favorite book of all times is The Outlander. It's about a woman who goes to England and gets stuck. I mean, she goes to Scotland and gets stuck back in 200 years and finds the love of her life. It's a love story, but it's not your average love story. It's a lot of raping and pillaging going on. Stars TV, they made a 16-hour series on it, the book 1. And it was not as good as the book, but it was nice seeing it. It's 8 books altogether. So this year, Stars is doing book number 2, which I didn't like as much. It's a lot about the French court. And then the 3rd book was good. She goes back in time again in her 50s. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry. 4th book was good. Her daughter that goes back. Spoiler alert, sorry. And 5th, 6th, and 7th is not okay. The 8th book is really good. My other books is J.D. Robb. It's about, her pen name is J.D. Robb, but she's really Nora Roberts. And it's about a detective in 2050, Eve Dallas. And her Irish husband is a billionaire. Ain't nothing like having a rich husband. And they love each other to death. I like Janet Evanovich books, Stephanie Plum. I loved about the first 16. Now she's in the 20s and I'm starting to get worn. They made a movie about that with the first book, and they used the wrong book and they'll never see another book. I also like Lee Childs. Lee Childs is a military guy who does an ex-military, and he goes wandering around the country helping people out. He helps the good people. He don't mind killing a few bad people. They made a movie about him last year with Tom Cruise. Now, mind you, this is a military man, 6'5", broken nose, buffed, and they put little weenie Tom Cruise. I'm sorry if you like Tom Cruise. They ruined it. There'll never be a movie number 2. And I like Clive Cussler and Clive Cussler Light because he doesn't write anymore. He has a bunch of people write for him. But I do like them too. I love all, like I said, adventure movies. And I now started my best friend's son. They are 11, and they've read a book called Tunnels. It's a kid book, and I love the book Tunnels. It's really amazing. And I think that's it. You've had enough of me. I'm going to put a quick quote on here. Has no name, but I put a quote on every video. And thank you for listening. I got to tell you, I appreciate it. I had a bad week last week, and all your comments made me feel so much better. Thank you again, and have a great day.